this message is for my fellow perfectionists or recovering perfectionists out there. So, if you don't fall under the perfectionist or recovering perfectionist bucket, you can scroll along because this message may not be for you. So, perfectionists, come on in a little bit. Can we just share that 2025 is throwing us for a loop? Like, our high performing, our hyper attention to detail, it's not hitting like it used to hit this year. And I don't know about you, but it's making me feel a little wobbly at times. I am fortunate to have a decades long arsenal of different practices to help me get back into my flow. And so, what I want to share with you is what I've practiced myself and what I've practiced with some of my clients. Quickly, my name is Sherry. I'm a leadership coach and I support individuals in thriving at work, most often the thoughtful, analytical professionals. So, our data analysts, the program and project professionals, engineers, are high performing but more quiet folks who may struggle with visibility. So I help them to identify what their career goals are and then take really strategic, thoughtful steps in realizing those goals. So, what I wanted to share is that one thing I'm realizing about 2025 is that it is a year that we need to be mindful and really hone in on our personal why. And our getting to the nugget of our why will carry us through this year and beyond. And this thought came to me because we're in this time of year, middle of summer, where it's kind of like an interesting time in your traditional performance review year. So, in many organizations, you're likely in the middle of your performance year, or perhaps you're closing out the performance year soon. And so, what better time than to take a step back and really assess what is happening in your career? What are the signs that are showing you that it's working well or not so well? And what do you need to do to pause and say, hey, I can take control of what I'm looking for and what I'm desiring to grow into. So let me apply those things that are going to help me learn and grow into the career that's best for me. And so, what I want to encourage you is, regardless of how your 2025 is going, regardless on if you feel like you're upside down, if you are lucky and fortunate and privileged enough to have a job, I want to encourage you that you can, no matter what is happening in your role, you can make the most out of your career in 2025 and beyond. And I want to share a simple technique that you can do, that you can apply in order to do that. And I like to call it a career retrospective. I borrowed this idea from Agile, and it really is taking the step back and observing what's happening in your career. The important precursor to this is, do you have an idea of where you want to go? What are your strengths? I'd like to start with, what makes you happy? What makes your heart sing? So for me, okay, maybe come in a little bit closer. For a long time in my career, I was that person that loved working on PowerPoints. I was the PowerPoint queen. I would get a thrill, and for me, it was creativity. So I took my love for tinkering and creating PowerPoints, and what I realized is what creating the PowerPoints was doing. Not only was it like pleasing the people around me, but for me, it was feeding this really deep desire for creativity. And so when I was able to figure that joy and my part of my why out, I was able to take that interest in creativity broadly. I was able to apply it in different collaborative situations. I was able to apply that creativity in lots of different ways other than PowerPoint, because believe it or not, that love of PowerPoint did not carry me through for my full career, but it was the bud of interest that I needed to identify what makes me happy, what brings me joy in the workplace. And what I found is what was bringing me joy was also delivering some tangible results to my teams and organizations. So that was the first step. So one, what brings you joy? What's your why? What do you thrive in? What gives you a spark? Identify those things that make you feel really great about yourself, and where you can get recognition for those things at work to say, there's something in alignment here. I want to learn more about that. So when you identify that, then you go into your observation. So what are you observing at work? Where are the times where you felt heard, you felt seen, you feel appreciated, versus where are the times where you feel like you're just coasting, you're falling flat, maybe your voice isn't being heard, maybe your ideas aren't being adopted? what's happening in either of those situations. So first you observe. Then you want to so after you observe, then you want to check around and see, okay, so this is what's happening for me. What about the rest of the organization? What works well? How do things work around here? How do people communicate? What moves different ideas forward? Where do people don't get listened to or not get listened to or their ideas don't get adopted? So looking at yourself, then you want to look at what's around you. The next step is, okay, so now you might see a little bit of a gap, right? So you observe what you're doing, you observe what's working in the organization. So where is the part that you need to bridge to get you to this other side of being on more of the adoption and your ideas being received and the visibility happening versus what may be happening in the current state? And once you do that, you explore what are some small ways or some easy experiments that you can take in order to move closer to what you're desiring. So, one quick example might be you're seeking to increase your visibility. Maybe you want to start emailing your insights to the leadership team or to the project team ahead of time. Maybe you study the what's happening on the project and plan to bring one thoughtful insight and interact with that insight, right, with the people in the meeting during the meeting, right? So making small experiments to test out what you're looking for, and then you measure. So where were you successful and where you fell short? Again, I want to encourage you, regardless on how your 2025 is going, I want you to start with what makes your heart sing. What is important for you? Because I can guarantee you, if you find the areas where you're naturally strength, where you have natural strength and you have natural talents, and you're able to find to live that out through your organization will benefit, right? But it first starts with you identifying and realizing where your strengths are and how you can smartly apply them at work. So give this retrospective a try. I hope that you find it as a way to reignite a passion in your career and an insight into yourself. My name is Sherry Hilly, and I'm a leadership and career coach, and I support thoughtful individuals in thriving in their careers by owning what your career dreams and aspirations are, and then creating really straightforward and simple action oriented plans to meet those goals. Follow Change Insight LLC for more resources and tools for you to get ahead at work.